morning, I'm Cathy Rymer, the Water Conservation Coordinator for the City of Chandler. Our Drab to Fab backyard rehab is complete, and we want to go back and show you the techniques that were used to install the plants so that you can use them at home in your own yard. Whenever you're planting trees like this native desert orchid, there's a few things to keep in mind. The first step, of course, is digging the planting hole. The hole needs to be only as deep as the container of the plant that you're using, but it needs to be a little wider so that you have room to move around and work in there when you're installing the plant. Making sure that the container soil is level or slightly above the surrounding soil. Next, you'll need to remove the plant from the container, taking care not to disturb the root ball. You can use a utility knife and make a shallow 1/4 inch cut lengthwise down the root ball in several places. Next, you want to backfill the hole with native soil. Now would be a great time to give your new plant a good drink, and if the soil settles, you can add additional native soil to make it level. If you have organic mulch, you can use it as a layer on top of the soil over your newly installed plants. The organic mulch will actually retain moisture in the soil and keep the soil a little cooler. Then you can put your gravel on top of the mulch, just making sure that it's not piled up against the trunk of the plant or the tree. Most trees come from the nursery with what they call a nursery stake, which is tied close to the main trunk. Once you get your tree planted, it's important to remove that and replace it with 2 wooden stakes placed outside the root ball. Then you can tie the tree in between the stakes. Allowing the tree to move slightly in the tie is very important because it allows the trunk to become strong. Here's a nice grouping of plants that the designer incorporated into this landscape. There's a nice variety of textures, colors, and forms. The agave is more structural. The lantana will be nice wide spreading and low to the ground with lots of color, and the germander gives a nice dark green color to the landscape. This lantana blooms almost all year round, but other plants may have a particular season when they look their best. With the right plant choices, you can easily have something blooming in your yard with every season, and that can attract hummingbirds and other wildlife. Another design tip you can try is planting in groups of 3s, 5s, or 7s. Here we have Little John bottle brush that eventually will grow to about 2 foot by 2 foot with stunning red flowers that attract hummingbirds. It's also important not to place plants in every open space in your landscape. Your eyes need areas where they can rest as you look throughout the landscape. Also remember that these plants are going to grow, and if we were to come back in a year, this landscape would look totally different. This mesquite tree is going to grow to 25 feet tall and wide, and that's why the designer gave it at least 12 feet from the home and the wall, so it'll have plenty of room to grow and spread. One of the hottest exposures in your yard is going to be next to a wall, like a block fence or your home. So you want to be sure and choose a plant that can take that afternoon sun where the heat is going to be brutal. Just because you have a xeriscape doesn't mean you can't have edibles. In Lisa's yard, she's actually built some planter boxes where she's going to grow some vegetables. They're on their own watering system, and she's going to bring in some special garden soil to fill the boxes. We covered a lot of material today, and if you weren't taking notes, that's okay because we have some great reference materials that you can use to help you with your landscape. Landscape Plants for the Arizona Desert is a great resource. It has over 200 low water use plants for you to choose from. They all have photographs and individual characteristics so you can see how large they get, what kind of exposure they need, what time of year they bloom, and whether they attract hummingbirds or butterflies. The second resource is Xeriscape, Landscaping with Style, and on page 36 there's actually an illustration that shows you how to plant. And remember, one of your best resources is going to be waterusitwisely.com.